So as requested by few folk, I am just going through XPath again, XPath methods. Okay. So first we will start with the normalized space. Okay. So what is this normalized space? So I'll just opening the sample website. Now here you can see click text is here, but in some cases you might find spaces before and after this click, or in some cases suppose this is sentence. So okay, in between also you are seeing the spaces, but in UI you are not seeing spaces, extra spaces. So normalized space, what will it do? It will simply remove the extra spaces from the start and the middle. So in that cases you have to use this normalized space method. And syntax is this actually. By default, you can use it for all the locator. That's not an issue. For example, suppose if you want to find the locator here for this click. Okay, fine. So this is a click. So simply what will I do? I will simply a//a, then text click. And before that, I will just put the normalized space. Only you have to remember the syntax. I'm deleting this part. Okay, so I'm getting only one. So instead of that, what will I do? I will just simply copy this normalized space syntax. Copy. It here. Putting the round brace. In completing after text. Yes, you can see still we are getting this click as expected. So just make a practice. You are using the normal space everywhere. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. There is no issue. If in future developer might put some space before and after or in middle, so this will work in that case as well. So this is use of normalized space. It will simply trim the space from start and the middle. Okay, so I'm not finding any example here actually. So I just showed the existing one. Okay, I'm not seeing any string with any text which is having space in the DOM. I'll just check for another if I'm finding any space here. There is no space. Let me check for few more elements. Again, here also no space. Okay, here also no space is there. Okay, I'm not seeing any spaces here. That's why I'm not able to see that as well. That's fine. You can use this normal space to trim the spaces from start and middle. Okay.
So, Yogesh, where have you put that normalized space keyword?
Here actually you can I will just make a differentiate between this previous locator and this locator. Okay, just copying this into notepad. My previous locator was this one. I'm just deleting this normalized space now. Okay, this is my old locator. So I'm just putting normalized space here, normalized space, and then I'm just surrounding this text with the round bracket. You can see that. Okay, so let me find out another example for this. I'll just show you.
Will it take the normal space or the space with and non-breakable space also? Because sometimes developers put NBSP also in while writing the text.
Yes, we can handle that in different way. That is not for this normal space. That is a
This is for
non-breaking
the
space is
normal
different
space,
space.
correct?
Pardon?
This is for the normal space given.
Yes, normal space, right.
Okay.
I'll just opening the another website. I might find some another example there. Let me open that. Okay, I'll just copy this website. Not this site actually. here in this site, I can get that space. Just try to find out few elements here in this site. Here there is no space for one element. I got a space here yesterday, so I missed that element, which was that one. Hmm. Again, I'll just go for this another site. It's a trading website. Yes, here you might get the space. Okay, here you can see the space here after a sale. Okay, so if you try to create a locator for this, you have to use the normalized space. Otherwise, locator will not get created. Or else you have to put the space into locator. That's it. Okay, so I'll just create a locator for this now. Span text is equal to sale. Now this site is not much stable actually, giving the edit every time. Okay, so I can see only few elements I'm getting here. This site only from this technical indicator table. Okay, this one, this one, this, and this is the last one. Okay, so I'm not able to locate element from this table actually, moving Avengers. So to locate the element from this table, I have to put the space here. We'll just locate it one more time. We'll just copy this from here because it's contains space at the start as well. Okay, fine. I'll just put the space here at the start. Why it is not locating? I'll just paste it. It should locate with the space, but it's not locating. So now I'll use the normalized space here. So it should locate. Before text, I will just put the normalized space and I will just start with the curly that round brace, start and end. And I will just remove the space from here. Okay, now I'm getting the 19 elements. So I'll check if that element is covered in this part or not. Okay, this moving Avengers. Please keep entering. Now you can see we are able to find that element. You can see from this table also we are getting the element now. But now I'm just inspecting this element. It is having space here. Okay. So this type of element can be handled by using this normalized space. Okay, fine. So going for the next. So contains. Suppose in some cases in text you have some partial text only. So you can simply use this contains text, and then you have to pass some the text there. So it will just automatically search the locator for you. So I'll just show you the example for you for this part. I'm not using this site. I'll just use this site. I will just put. I'm getting the expected locator here. So if I want to use the contents, I can use the contents here, and I can just provide the partial text. Contains. Not here. I will just have to replace equal with comma, and at the end I have to complete the round brace. Okay. So if I am passing the partial text, suppose I am deleting the delay, that's also fine. It's working fine because we have used the contains keyword. It is like a string contain. Okay. So we can just provide the partial text as well here in the contents. Suppose in some cases you might find that this text is divided into two parts. Suppose this client side in a tag and delay is in another tag. Okay. In that cases, you simply can go ahead with this approach. You can use the contains keyword here. Okay, or you might face the issue sometimes encoding. The encoding is different. Suppose if you're seeing the double quotes in this way, now I'm just printing the double quote, typing double quotes in this way. But in some cases, in different encoding, you will see this double quotes in different manner, actually, in different shape, actually, that I'm not able to type in from the keyboard. But in some case, you might get that. In that cases, you can simply use this contains, and you can simply ignore that different encoding part. Okay, so this we have done for the text. So same we can done for the other part as well. Suppose if you have to go with the class name, so we can in class name also we can use this contains keyword. I will look for the big yeah, fine. I will just pick this class name. It's a div. I'll just simply put the @class here instead of text, and I will simply put column call -sm. Okay, now I'm getting 18 elements, right? 18. So if I'm removing sm as well, I should get 18 elements only. I'm getting 19 because there is some extra. Okay, because I'm just getting this collapse col. That's why I'm getting one extra. Now it's +1. Okay, so like this way you can just use the contains keyword for the class name or any another tags. Sorry, attributes, not tags. Okay, so it will just match that particular pattern in the XPath. Similarly, you can use the starts with. Okay, suppose it's a similar to the contains, but it will just match the starting pattern. Okay, so this also we can use in the locator. Starts with, I will just put starts with here, and I will just put some name here called some kind of collapse. So it should point to this locator. Now you can see I have put the starts with @class collapse call actually. So it will just point to this one only because it is just starting. It's just pointing to, it is just matching the first pattern, first starting string of this class. Okay, so these are the different way using contains and start with. Then simply we can use the and or operator in the XPath. Okay, so suppose I'm just picking one example from here, this part only. Okay, yeah, this I will use this. Okay, so suppose I want to create a locator for this. Okay, so I can use multiple properties. Suppose I have to use class as well as ID, so I can just put that in the AND condition. So if both the condition are matched, then only I'm able to find the locator. If out of one which is failed, which is not there, so I'm not able to find the locator. Okay, in some cases what happen, if the UI is complex and you have to find the locator, but if you are finding with the class name or ID, you might get it duplicate. Okay, in that cases you can simply take the two attributes from here and you can simply put into the AND condition. Okay, so I'll just create locator for this. I will just take a meaningful locator now. I think this is not pointing anywhere. That's why. Let me check if it is pointing anywhere or it's hidden. I think it's not pointing anywhere. I will just take a one meaningful locator here. I'll just go inside one page. We'll see if I'm getting one meaningful locator there. Inspect. Yeah, I'll just create locator for this button. Okay. / button.
Yogesh, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Actually, we are not able to see the XPath part down where you are typing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
You should tell me, right?
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I just okay, fine. Let me open this. Just closing this X window and I'm just reopening it. think there is some setting change in my Chrome browser now. Let me try. Now that's fine. Let me open it again. I will just confirm when you are able to see. Okay, now you are able to see.
Yes, Yogesh. No,
Okay, that's fine.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah. So I'll just inspect this button element. And now I can use these two properties, class name, type, because ID I cannot use because it's a dynamic one. Okay. Okay. Or I can use class and this text. I can use either two properties. Okay. So I'll just put in the button, then add the class is equal to, I have copied the class name. So now it's pointing to one button. But in some cases, you might get multiple buttons with this type of locator. So in simply that cases, you can simply put the and here like this, and you can add one more attribute here and type any attribute is fine. Okay. Okay. So this is also supported here in the XPath. Okay. So, or you can just put the text as well here. No worries. I'm just putting the text as well. I will just copy the text from here. Okay. Again, it is pointing to one element only. Okay, fine. Then the last one is the OR in this slide, the OR one. Okay. So in OR, either this condition, the first condition should be passed, means we should find out the locator, or this should be passed. If either of these two, we are able to find the locator, locator on the UI, then we should get proper web element on the UI. Okay, in our condition. In this case, both the conditions should be true. This first and second. And in our condition, either of two conditions should be passed. Okay, so now in this case, I'm just passing the OR. So in here, actually in OR, it is checking for the first, it is passing. So it will simply give the locator. Okay. So I just try to find out proper locator for the proper scenario for this. Let me try for some another options here. Yeah. What will I do? I'll just go here and yeah, href class attribute. Okay, I'll just put one example here. Okay, so I'm just using this a tag with href only. Href. I will just delete all the part from here. Okay, now you can see how many elements I'm getting. 25. Okay, but I need only one now. So first I will use and, then I will use or. Okay, so and text is equal to dynamic ID. Now you can see with the href tag, I'm getting the text dynamic ID with the only one locator. Okay, so we can simply put this as well. Okay, without value. This is also permitted in the XPath. Okay, now I'll put OR. So how many elements I should get? I will get multiple elements here, 25, because it is looking for this part or this part. That's fine, either of condition. So we'll get 25 locators here. So there is no ideal example in this website to show you the OR condition here. So I'm just showing this part. Okay, guys, any confusion till here?
Yogesh, so in previous example, you said like we cannot use the ID option because that was dynamic, right?
Yeah.
So how can we identify whether the ID is a dynamic or static?
Yeah, actually it's again you have to observe DOM structure. I'm just opening this dynamic ID and just inspecting this element. Now you can see I'm reading ID F027. When you are doing the automation, you have to keep observing this thing. For example, now you can see the ID is not in readable format. Okay, So this question comes into my mind, so it can be changed. So I will just refresh the page and I will just check the ID next time. When you are seeing the there is no meaningful name given to the ID or any attribute, so just cross check and just refresh the page and check if it is changing or not. Okay,
Okay.
because other thing you can see, it's a button primary, it's a meaningful name, we can read that, but this is not readable format. So just
Okay.
refresh page, check if it is changing, then it's dynamic. You cannot use that in your code. Yeah. Okay, so I'm reading question. So I think okay, fine. There is no question. Okay, so this is and or. So you can you guys can practice on this normalized space contains and or. If you are facing some difficulty, you can get back to you in next session or upcoming or after the session as well. Okay. So next I'm moving for this as an ancestor, descendant, parent, child. Okay. So what is ancestor? What is a parent? I'll just tell you the difference in the UI only. Okay, here I'm getting only one element now. Okay, so if I want to go for the parent, I will just put like this or double, it's fine, and I will just look for the div. But I'm not getting an element because for the this element there is no parent called as a h3. Sorry, div, because parent is a h3 for this. Okay, so now what will I do? I will just put the h3 here. So I'll get one element. Now I'll go for the ancestor. Again, I'm reverting to the div. I will go for the ancestor. Now I am seeing the three ancestor. Ancestor means kind of we can say it's a grandparent parent. Okay. Now it's showing here as well, and here as well. This one, this is the first, this is the second, this is the third. Okay, I'm just repeating it again. You can see the first. No, not this, actually this one. Okay, because this division comes under this division. Okay. So in this way we got this first, this is second, and this is the third. This is skipping actually because this is comes under sibling of this. Okay, these are both are sibling, not a parent actually, not a grandparent. Okay, so this is the ancestor. Like descendant means it will just go for the below side. Now we have seen the upper side actually, upper diagonal. Now when we are using descendant, it will simply go for the down in diagonal. Okay, so you can just practice for this descendant and ancestor and descendant. Okay, and then parent and child. Parent means we are again going up, and child we are going down again one step. Direct child. And yesterday we have seen this following sibling and preceding sibling as well. Okay, so I again repeat this for this preceding and following sibling one more time. So this is, suppose we are at this position. If you want to go for the previous sibling, so this is a preceding sibling for this, and for this, these are the following siblings. Okay. So you can just go ahead with any site, try to write a XPath. If you are not able to write XPath, then let me know. We will try to resolve that issue. Okay. Any questions, guys, here? Or else I can go ahead for the framework development part.
As you have shown for the ancestor, there were four ancestors. Okay, so
Three
yeah,
ancestor.
three, the div one. Then how to locate if we want the second one of it?
If you want so second, then you have to find the proper attributes of that. Suppose I will just put now @class is equal to div, not div actually, it's a row, sorry. Okay, I got the second one, that's fine.
Okay.
It's a simple one actually. Now we are seeing it first time, that's why you are feeling it's so complicated. It's a simple things.
Okay, if there are many ancestors or the precedents, we need to find it by the attribute form.
Of course, here also we are finding it by attribute only, right? So same way we have to apply it here as well.
Okay.
Okay, this is only for the navigating backward, forward, or just below in same line or diagonally. These methods are there. Okay. You will use this actually in the big table or big complex UI. In simple UI, you will not able to use this actually. This is not required in the simple UI. Okay. I have tried with the multiple complex UI, but I am not able to see the proper UI at any site actually. There were few sites, but which was not stable, so I am not able to see the locator creation there. Yeah, Anurag, your question is how to write XPath for drop-down selecting an option from it. Yeah, that we will cover in the framework development itself. Okay. Okay, we are covering that part later. Anurag, thank you. Okay, so moving ahead for the next slide. Okay, so we are actually starting with the framework implementation from today. So today we'll just simply create a package and folder structure, and I will explain what is a page factory pattern. Okay. So basically, I will just go with the page factory pattern first. Okay, so page object model actually, it's a POM is a page object model. So what is a page object model? Suppose you can see in the UI, when I'm landing on this page, this is my first page, UI test automation playground. It's a home page. Okay. Then again, I'm going inside this page. This is my second page, which is a dynamic ID. Then this is a class attribute. This is my third page. Likewise, I have multiple pages here. Suppose one is home page, then second is this, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. Like this, I have pages till this non-breaking space. This many pages I have. So what I will do simply in page object model, I will simply create a locator in that pages itself. And suppose I'm just visiting this page, visibility. So which locator are present in this page? Suppose this is a text. This is the first locator. This is second locator. This is third. And these are the buttons. For all the things which are present on this visibility page, I will create all the locators of this page into single class, into single Java class. In this way, I will create a multiple classes for all these pages, like this click, text input, progress bar. So it will differentiate. It will not create a confusion me in the future. Suppose someone else started working on that one project, and suppose he or she has navigated to this page. So he or she should know where this locator actually present, in which class, in which page, in the framework. So we'll just separate the locators based on the pages. Okay, that is called as a page object model. And why we are using the page factory? Because page factory by default implement the page object model. Okay, I'll just show you the syntax as well, that page factory dot init element, how we initialize the variables, why we initialize the web element in the framework, that I'll show. Okay, so we are just separating the locators from the actual code, actual flow. Okay, and yeah, now I'll going to create a package and folder structure for our framework. Okay, fine. So I'll simply rename this package as a do not use. This is the old package, that's why I'm renaming it. I will just create a new package. Continue, it's got renamed. This listener package is here, that's fine. I will just rename it as a listeners only. I'll just rename it as a com.listener, com.demo.listener. Okay. Now I'll create one more package here. Is 1 minute. I will just create a com.demo.common. In this common package, I will just put all the common things which are required everywhere in every test case or every class. Okay. Kind of driver initialization we can put into the common class because it is required for every test case. Then again, I will create one more package here called as a core. Core means again, it can be used across the multiple projects. Okay. Suppose if I want to read data from the TestNG data provider. Okay. So that kind of common thing I will just put into the core package. Okay. com.demo.core. Then I'll just create one more class, one more package, utilities. So in utilities package, I'll just use the action class, robot class, whichever things that is somewhat for the different behavior of the application. Suppose if you want to handle the Windows pop-up, so it is not handled by the Selenium. So we can use the robot class or action class. That thing we are going to implement in this class, and we will just call this class wherever actually we need this in the automation. Okay. So then for the pages, for the web pages, suppose these are the page actually project bus. So to define the locator of this project pages, so I'll create one more class called as a pages only. New package com.demo.pages. Here I will just put all the pages, all the web pages class, all the web pages, and I will just create locator for that. Then main thing test suite. Here actually I put all the test cases. I will write a test case in this package only. I will not write test case outside this package. Okay, and I have already created this listener package, which is for the report creation and some screenshot taken actually, screenshot handling. Okay, so yeah, this is fine for the package. So now I will create few folders here. So first is a test data folder. So test data folder is for the putting the Excel sheet or any data source that can be written into the test cases, that can be read in the test cases. Okay, I'll just put the data test data. This is my folder name. Folder got created here. Then I'll create, suppose our test case is failing, so we have to take a screenshot and we have to put somewhere in our framework. Means not in framework, but we have to put somewhere in the physical location. So we'll just create a physical location in project itself called as an image folder, img. All the failed test case screenshot will be collected in this folder. Then one more folder required for this screenshot. Now I'll tell the user of screenshot. This is not for the failed test cases. Okay. Okay. So this is for suppose I'm creating one class. Suppose in this pages. Suppose this class I have created progress bar class, progress bar page. Suppose new person come and he or she don't know which is this progress bar page, because there might be some multiple progress bar page with some different changes, with minor changes in the UI. So I will just take a screenshot of this page, whole page, and I will just store that page screenshot into this screenshot package, and I will just attach this screenshot to this particular respective page. So when you are hovering mouse over the class name, I will show that practical as well. Suppose this is our class name. When I hovering mouse here, so automatically you will get a screenshot of that particular page, web page. Okay, so this screenshot is for taking, for just to identify the which page we are using there actually from the website. Okay, so let me check if I missed anything. It's a common core utilities, web pages, test suite, test data folder. Okay, fine. Okay, so now we'll start writing the test case. First test case that we have write earlier. I'm just copying that test case again, this one. And we'll just modify something in this test case. I'm just taking the below one. It's a small. Go to the test suite, create a class, And this discuss regarding to the class attribute. Okay, so I will simply put the class name as a class attribute test. Whenever I'm writing the test cases, I'm just making the class name ending with the test only to understand which class having which functionality, means where we are writing which thing. We are simply pasting this copied test case. Okay. Now I'll try to execute this once to ensure everything is working here, and then I will just break this test case into the part. It's working, yeah, fine. In test engine, I'm getting the green. Okay, fine, that's perfect. So now what will I do? Now I have read one more test case for this. Just copy the locator from here only, the dynamic ID. It will also get pass. Okay, both the test case got passed. Here you can see the green color here in the test ng. Okay, below. Now you can see these are the duplicate code actually. This one, first 4 line from the test 2 and first 4 line from the test 1. These are the common things from both the test case. Again, this line number 38 driver.quit in the first test case, and in second test case it's common again. So I will just cut that and paste it into the different method now. Just put the pre-step. I will just copy this code from first 4 line. I will just take up 4 lines, okay, including thread of sleep. I'm just cutting this. I'll just paste it here. Okay, I will delete this. We are going to handle the weight as well in the upcoming session. So now for now, I'm just putting this hard-coded weight thread dot sleep. Okay. Now it is showing some error. So what will I do? I will just let me do it for the second test case as well. Then I will just make the changes. I'm just deleting this now because I have already created one common method for both. I will delete this as well. Now I will just make it as a @before method. So it will be called before test. Okay. And now you can see the driver, we are getting this error because this is not initialized. Okay. So simply I will just copy this line and I will just make this global instead of local. This is now local variable driver. This can be accessed within this method only. But if I want to access outside this method, so I have to make it global. And I will just delete this. Now you can see the error gone. Okay, now we are not seeing an error here. I'm just deleting extra line. Okay, now same thing I will do it for the driver.key2 as well. Okay, so I will create one method here, public void tear down. Method name can be anything, but standard we are just following the tear down for the driver closing. I will just make it as a after method. So it will just get executed after every test case. I'm just cut this, paste it in here. I will just cut it from the another test case as well. Okay, now you can see in before method, the driver initialization is there. Driver get initialized here in this before method. Then with this test case will get run. Then trigger add-on method will get run. This last one. Same for the second one. Before this, this pre-step will get run. Then this after method will get run. So now I execute my code. Okay, now we'll go for the test ng. We are seeing the green here, so both the test cases got passed with the minimal code. Suppose now we are including the test cases, so we can simply, we don't have to write this code. So it will simply reduce the line of code for the maintenance. Suppose in future our URL got changed, so simply we can make the change here in this URL, and it will be applicable for all the test cases. Okay, guys, any doubts here? I think this must be clear because it is covered earlier as well for the test.
Hello,
engine.
sir.
Yeah.
Sir, instead of before method, if we use before test, then what will happen?
No, before test is mainly used in the test.xml file.
Okay.
Okay. That I'll again show when I'm writing multiple test cases, approximately 20 test cases I will going to write. After that,
Okay.
I will just show you how to use that before test as well. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So any doubts here, guys? These are basic things you should know. So for today, yeah, you can ask the question, guys. So otherwise, we can continue from next session. Again, think that, for example, I'm just putting some scenario, high level scenarios. Okay. Suppose now this is one class. Again, I'm going to second class for a different, suppose dynamic ID for a different web page like this. Dynamic ID or hidden layers or load delay. For this, I'm going to create another test suite actually, test file actually, I can say. So there also I have to put this code, right? This before method. Then again this after method, again this after method. Repeatedly I have to call in every class. So to avoid that, I'll just tell you the solution tomorrow. Okay, just think about that, how you can resolve this problem when you are using multiple classes. Okay, and then also we'll just create some pages in this package. By tomorrow, we'll just use the page factory method, and I will just show you how it initialize the object and how it is how it make difference between this traditional way, this driver.find element, and how page factory behaves. There is a major difference between these two, so I'll just explain that tomorrow when I'm just initializing the, where I'm just putting the locator in the pages package here. Okay, guys, that's it for the day. If you have any questions, stay back, and otherwise you can drop up, guys. So anyone want to review the assignment, just ping me in the chat window. So I will just stay back, guys. Yes. Can we run all the tests? Ravinder, I have one question. Can we run all these test cases using the XML? You're talking about test.xml? Yes, we can run. These are the very initial stage. So at the last, not in the last, in the middle, I will just show you how to run this all the test cases. This is my test.xml. Okay. Yes, Anurag. Just give me 2-3 minutes. So if others have questions, so go ahead, and otherwise other can drop up. You can stay back on the call and we'll review.